Hello, hello, Cancer. Welcome to your August 2019 overview reading. This is good for you if you're a sun, moon, or rising Cancer. And if you care to show me some love, go ahead and take a moment to subscribe to this channel and go ahead and like this video. Don't forget to check me out on Instagram at Onyx Healing if you care to get more content from me, more readings, more good stuff. And I also have a podcast, which is chock full of awesome stuff as well, so you can check that out in the description box. Now, I'm going to lay out this spread, and then we will get started. All right, let's start with your truth bomb. First thing, think of suffering as self-compassion school. Okay, so this is about reframing pain. Any type of pain, really. Discomfort, having compassion for yourself, and also paying attention to what is the emotion communicating. Because a lot of the time, it's correct, like the suffering or the pain or whatever it is that's disruptive is an indication that something needs to shift or something needs to change. So just consider that. And then we have Mountain Lion. Doing some exploring this month. I'm just seeing you as really looking at all the different options, all the different stuff you could do. Don't be afraid to try new things. This is going to be a good month to do it because you have an exploration card sitting here. Catharsis, feel your feelings before you try to move forward. The solution may be emotional rather than logical. A messy situation may be an important healing in disguise. Okay, so whatever that is for you, I'm sure you already have an idea of what's going on there. Same thing with the suffering as compassion school. I'm sure you already have an idea of where that's being reflected for you. The central energy of August is the Magician. So this puts the ball back in your court. What are you asking for? What are you thinking? What are you saying? What actions are you taking? Where is your headspace? That's all fair game. That's all worth considering as you go through August. So that's going to paint a picture of what is manifesting or what it is that you're calling in. It's the compounding of the energy that you're embodying as well as what you're asking for and setting an intention for. So this is going to be a great manifesting month. I feel that way for the water signs as a whole. So let's see with the crossing energy. We have Death. I love this card just because it's such a strong indication that you're going to experience growth as a result of release. Anything that you release, I know that one of the fears that people can have around anything that's leaving or anything that they need to get rid of is that it won't be replaced or restored, or they're never going to find something that good ever again. And that's simply limiting. That's just going to keep you complacent. In reality, you're only going to get bigger and better. That's the only thing that's going to come in if you're setting your intention and you're actively manifesting and acting in a way where you're going to receive that. So just keep in mind, like if something is leaving your life, you can set an intention for what you want to show up in that space that's been created. What's shifting out for you is the Five of Wands. Maybe you were in a space where you felt kind of combative, confused, like there was a lot of friction around whatever it was that you were doing. So this seems like things are really getting smoother now as time goes on. Pisces had a similar read where it's like the discomfort is shifting. And I think this is a result of Cancer season, eclipses, Mercury retrograde, all the stuff going on in the sky. And so the Five of Wands is just showing you that whatever you've constructed or whatever friction was going on, that's enabling you to actually create and manifest what it is that you want. The oncoming energy is Judgment, being able to see either a new door open or making a final decision. Not everyone's going to be in the same place with this, so it's just all up to you about where you're at with that. It could be something where you finally are able to make a commitment to something, or you're able to focus your energy in on one thing that you're doing and just dig into that, or it's an opportunity that you've been manifesting is making an appearance. In the outward, what is this? The outward manifestation, we have the Four of Chalices. You're gonna need to be careful of what you're saying yes and no to. The reason why is that if you're saying yes to a whole bunch of opportunities that you don't want, that are totally out of alignment, or if you're saying no to things that you do want, you're going to be sending mixed signals to God, universe, divine source. That doesn't mean if you say no to something that it will never come back, or you're never going to have that opportunity again. But the point is, the more you can say yes to the right things and no to the wrong things, the easier things are going to get. So things are just going to click and fall into place as you do that. Now in the subconscious, we have the Hierophant. This is structure, order, thinking about how you're able to harness the way you're thinking about things in order to support you. So if something isn't going your way, how are you thinking about it? Are you thinking that you're being punished and the world is against you? Or are you thinking, oh, well, that's probably not in alignment with what I've asked for or what I've manifested? Those are two ways to view the same exact situation. So really do a close audit and investigation of what you're thinking internally, what your internal process is, so that you can kind of check in with everything else going on and see where you can kind of figure out how to gain better control of that, because I think it's just going to serve you really well. The advice for you, Six of Chalices, dive into self-care. This reminds me of like a spa day. That's the energy that this holds. And so you actually are, it seems that you can really embody that, and you're going to be quite surprised by what that holds. I know that that's not the traditional meaning of the Six of Chalices, but it seems like you're in a space of receiving, and that's going to be really worthwhile this month, especially with the Magician card in the center. It's just an important piece of this to exercise that self-care as you're going through this, because if you crank up the heat too high, you could suffocate a situation, right? If you're bulldozing it with energy. So if you can kind of take breaks when necessary, you're going to ease into your decisions. You're going to just allow your manifestations to trickle in easily. And then we have the Hanged Man. Yes, this needs to be a part of your consistent practice, not something that you just do off the cuff. So what I found with a lot of people, I'm sure you've probably experienced this, where you're hyper productive and then you're not productive at all, and then you're hyper productive and then you're not productive at all. So it's a matter of resting even when you think you don't need rest, or when you wouldn't normally take rest. Finding pockets to fill your cup first is the best way to deal with this and be proactive when it comes to your energy levels. Don't underestimate the power of filling your cup. External influences, we have the Three of Wands. I think you're really being put in a position where you have to ask yourself, what do you want long term? The Three of Wands really pushes us to look at, what are we building? What are we creating? That's an important piece of this equation. So if you're building on something that doesn't feel good, or that is totally out of alignment with you, like this Four of Chalices up here is indicating, then any emotion that you have that's going to steer you in a different direction, you're going to want to follow that, because that's your compass. Don't be afraid to explore that, rather than just sit within the same program of what you've been doing just because you've been doing it forever. Just because you've been doing something forever doesn't mean it needs to continue that way. And the more you remind yourself of that, the more opportunities you're going to see open up. Hopes and fears, we have the Knight of Swords. So I think that this is literally you combating fear itself, because you can think about how terrifying that situation would actually be if you were facing a giant bird with sharp teeth. So this just seems like it's fear itself is the very thing that is kind of gumming up the works. So the Knight of Swords is just encouraging you to charge ahead fearlessly in a direction that feels good to you. And I think there's fear around defeat. There's probably fear around success or not knowing what to do when you get to that next level. That's also really common. So check in with yourself and see what's really going on there. But it's something that's going to be uncomfortable. Go back to the suffering card or the catharsis card. A messy situation may be important healing in disguise. That's kind of what this is all reflecting. The outcome of August, we have the Fool, a new journey, a new beginning. And I think this is something that maybe you've already asked for or invited into your space. It's not necessarily something that you haven't thought of before, but it may be the appearance of something that you weren't that's been in the works for a while. It just hasn't arrived yet. So there's a lot going on here. It's all about paying close attention to your behavior and the things that you're saying yes and no to and what your energy levels are doing, because you're going to get stalled out if you're not taking that rest and you're not being proactive with it. So keep that in mind as well throughout the month of August. If you're like, wow, I have boundless, unlimited energy, do not be fooled. That doesn't mean that it's going to be a good idea for you to burn the candle at both ends for such an extended period that you crash and burn. You're going to want to slow yourself down intentionally, create space for you to fill your cup, and that's how you're going to be able to sustain all of this growth and feel into what's right and what's not right, because you might end up getting derailed or think that something isn't good for you when really it's a result of burnout just from not taking adequate rest. Now, let's go into the timeline. This is the first quarter of August. We have the Magician making an appearance again. You've got to ask for it. A closed mouth won't get fed. Straight up. If you're not asking for it, don't expect it. And also beware of energy that, like, you don't want to embody wanting, if that makes sense, because then you're going to get more wanting. You want to embody the energy of receiving, because then you're going to get receiving. So whatever you're setting your intention for, it's not about like crossing your fingers and hoping. It's about coming from a space of conviction and having already received it, allowing that into your body, filling yourself up with that first. And that's really going to be where things pick up. Quarter 2, we have the Six of Pentacles, reciprocation, give and take. Check in with things that aren't giving you what you want. Because that's also, is that something you keep saying yes to that isn't satisfying and it's indicating, hey, you need to move in this new direction. There might be some info there. So check in, especially at some point during this first half, what's dissatisfying or what is not giving you what you thought it would, or what isn't adding up, whether it be an opportunity, a relationship, or any variation of. Third quarter, we have the Nine of Cups. Ooh, wishes fulfilled. You can see there's a bird feather hanging out of that cat's mouth. I'm not sure how focused that is, but it's like, yes, you're getting what you want. Now, I don't know to what extent this is going to show up for you. It might be big, it might be small, but the point is, if you're setting the intention up front of already having received the thing that you want, you might start to see some things roll in by that third quarter of August. So it's not a waste. It is worth paying attention to. Wrapping up the month, we have the Moon. So this actually makes a lot of sense when I'm reading it, because it's kind of like, oh, well, now what? Or what's next? So this is where it's very important when you get to this point with the Nine of Cups, whatever it is that you receive that is good or is working or is right for you, really pay attention to how it feels, over-celebrate, over-exaggerate, and carry that with you, because it's going to compound even if things are just trickling in. So with the Moon, you might feel a little bit lost, but continue to hold the energy of the very thing that feels good to have within your body. That's going to be an important thing for you to do. I am going to do a 3-card pick. You're welcome to ask a question, ask for clarity, guidance, whatever it is that you need. And you can pick as few or as many cards as you'd like. One other thing that I wanted to mention, by the way, about the moon before I do this 3-card pick is that it's not going to last forever. So, like, this could have something to do with a literal moon that's happening during that month. It could, like, maybe knock you off balance a little bit or make you reevaluate what you're doing. So that energy will shift quickly, but you have to understand, just because you're feeling uncertain or a lack of clarity in one moment doesn't mean it's not going to shift. It's just, you know, we have seasons. So continue to embody this 9 of Cups throughout the confusion. Now let's go to card number 1, Knight of Pentacles, and this immediately goes to, like, checking off your to-do list, right? Beware of over-functioning. I'm going to tell you that time and time again in this reading, apparently. You're going to need to be careful with that, because the Knight of Pentacles is great at overdoing, over-functioning, just putting in the work, but also not taking time for himself. So just pay close attention to your energy levels. And how are you starting your day? Are you starting your day with 50,000 things on your to-do list? Maybe just tackle 2 tasks within a day. Start playing different tricks like that so that you can actually get things done without beating yourself up. And that's going to be really helpful, as if you just kind of keep it steady and paced. Card number 2, we have the Ace of Cups. This is the new love card, or the overflow of abundance. This is really receptive to love, essentially. Now, one of the big things here is that this is a very important self-care card. So this is like a huge indication you need to get on that, and you need to stay on it, because that's where you're actually going to tap into the abundance, is if you're giving to yourself first. So you're just going to become a magnet for all of those things that you want, because there's all this fruit here sitting in this bowl, and I'm getting that's a result of you not coming from a space of having been burnt out, but actually being truly in alignment and giving to yourself first. Card number 3, we have the King of Cups. Honor your emotions. This is emotional mastery. Knowing to trust your intuitions and your feeling is probably the best skill that you have at this point in time, and that's going to be what you want to use in order to drive your decisions. Feelings will tell all. It's going to be glaring at you if you pay attention to the feelings. That's what you're going to want to use this month. So number 1, how do you feel about it? How do you want to feel? What does X feel like? What does Y feel like? And then lead with the positive emotion as often as you possibly can. And do things that you know are going to make you feel good, like after you complete it. So for example, like if you know that something isn't going to lead to good emotions, then just be extra cautious with doing things repeatedly that make you bully yourself or make you beat up on yourself or anything like that. Try to take a step back and just consider, how do you want to feel and what behavior will lead you to that emotion. Thank you so much for joining me today, everybody. I really, really appreciate you. Thank you so much for liking, sharing, subscribing, following me on Instagram at Onyx Healing. Don't forget, if you would like to check out the meditations that I offer, if you'd like to sharpen your intuition, I have some stuff on that as well. Don't forget to check out the podcast. The link is in the description box. And as always, if you would like to work with me one-on-one, you know that I'm always available to work with you. We can do some healing, some energetic work, all that good stuff. So check that out, and I will talk to you next time. Have a good one, everybody. Bye-bye.